Hi and welcome. I'm Carrie-Anne from Capelliage and I'm here to show you today some balayage techniques on my daughter Isla. So today the technique I'm going to use with a sectioning pattern so that we are working clean in the sectioning that we do. It is important that you keep your sections clean. So we started with parting to the natural part. It was just off centre with Isla's hair here, and then sectioning to behind the ear on both sides, and then again across the crown area, and then I deep V section to just below the crown, and again section that out the way, and that just leaves you with your back sections, which you could part into two sections if you wanted, but I tend to take that as one big section so that it flows more with the flow of the hairline rather than to working with a definite part down that center area, you know, working to an eye pattern as opposed to, you know, too much structure in there. It's a structure with an unstructured look. You don't want it to be uniform, but you want it to flow as well. So Isla's had on her hair back in the autumn time Oway Nectar, which is a tone on tone. So it sits a little bit more into the hair than just sitting on the hair cuticle. It does sink in and gives a little bit of a root there. She's wanted to rid of the root and start to go a little bit blonder towards the summer, getting a few summery vibe tones in there, and still keeping it sun-kissed, but trying to get this lighter and lighter. We've started with the shape of the hairline on there, nice deep V section. I've already mixed up my bleach. I use, in the salon, we use a brand called Oway, which is an organic colour systems. The H bleach that we use, I call it H bleach, but it's more like a H butter because it does contain QQ butter. It's very, very mild on the hair. It lifts up to 6 levels. So for those clients that are wanting their hair a little bit more lighter, maybe on a 9 level, it's something that you're going to have to do over time. It also helps to keep the condition of the hair and keep the moisture, and that's what we're looking for. My balayage board is still at the salon, so I am literally going to freehand what we have here. Also with the bleach, it contains lavender, so it doesn't have that really harsh chemical-y smell to it that a lot of bleaches on the market do have. Okay, so I'm taking this whole section from behind the ear to the nape as one section. I don't want to over paint, saturate the brush. I like to just keep that to the end of the brush so that we can keep it nice and neat. And then we are going to take this quite high with the flow of the hair. At the highest point, we want to be raising that. Okay, so as you can see, this is now coming down from the highest point to the lowest. So that's the way you want your paint to flow as well. Okay, so without the balayage board, I would then normally paint. So I'm not saturating it through to the underside of the hair. I'm literally just painting that across the top. Okay, so get a nice flow on there. Just back painting it up a little bit to feather that in. And then as we come towards the ends of the hair, then I'm going to use my hand as a balayage board and saturate those ends so we can get those nice bright light tones through there. Okay, always making sure that you've got a towel to hand so that you can keep a nice clean hands running through there so that you don't get it all over the place. Okay, section number 2. So again, when I was saying before, it's you want to work to a pattern. You don't want to be too structured, but you kind of still need to see the flow and repeat that mirrored effect through to the other side. So it's structured in an unstructured way, which is just like my life. I'm sure there's many people out there that can relate to that. So, structured in an unstructured way. So again, just keep looking to the other side so we can see how the flow comes down. Not painting the hair right the way through, not oversaturating it. We're just painting that the top hair until it sort of comes to about midway to the ends. And then, say usually I'd have the balayage board with me, but as I don't, we are going to improvise and paint that through onto my hand. Okay, so again, wipe the hands, make sure after every section that you are wiping your hands nice and clean. So ready for the next section, which I am going to take a fine section out here, and we're not going to paint that because we do want to keep some of the natural and hair that was painted from last time. Just leave that out. And we are going to take in another section here. Okay, so we took a small section first that we've left out, so we can just halve the section. So we can leave that out and then work on the upper section. I haven't really done it on this here, but you can if you feel like you don't want to put the uncoloured hair that you haven't painted. That's actually okay to sit on here because the mixture is a nice consistency to not bleed onto this hair. But if you felt like you wanted to, you could put a little piece of cotton wool on there just to protect that hair, to keep them separated from each other. Okay, so again, as you can see the flow with the V section there. Again, going from your highest point. As you can see on here, or maybe you won't be able to see, there's the warm tones that it will be having to lift through with the coppery tones that were put on over the autumn time. Okay, so I tend to use the side of my brush quite a lot when I'm freehand painting, just to give it a nice sort of neater edge. Just feathers those edges out a little bit. So I just sort of paint my way down, but then I feather it back up again, painting on the top section. And then again, as I sort of work my way from the mid-length to the ends, then you can just heavily paint on to saturate all of those ends. Okay, and then we can sort of use the same piece of cotton wool to backtrack. Okay. Keeping the hands clean. And then working our way over to the mirrored section on the opposite side. Make sure that you're combing the hair into the way that the hair flows. Again, up to the highest point. I'm just going to sort of, if we can sort of see on there. So you can see where it's been feathered up from the highest point down to how high you want it through the flow, and then onto the opposite side. could do with a cameraman. You're doing videos and films and things.
There's you when you need them.
Okay, so again, just sort of just using the eye to see the flow on the opposite side and then follow the pattern. It's all about the blend. Okay. I mean, you can paint over every section if you wanted to give it a heavy paint, but we are not wanting to achieve anything too harsh, too blonde. We just want to sort of build it up over time, really. Pattern. So again, taking a very small section this time out that we're not going to paint. As you can see, she still will have some blondes through the ends of there from what was painted last time. But now with this bigger section. Now, as I'm working my way up to the top a little bit more, I am going to paint this section, feathering it down so we've got a nice flow, but then I'm also going to work it high through the opposite side as well. So on the other side of this section I'm going to flick some back up towards the centre. So this is quite heavily painted in this area here. So with the Oway H bleach, it has got the lifting ability of 6 levels. So for many that are using like a harsher bleach, that may be lift up 9 levels. With the Oway, it's more about timing and lifting over time to keep the condition of the hair a lot more supple, keep hold of the elasticity, and nurturing the hair is what the products are all about. So if it's a client that might come in and they've got like really dark hair and you want to lift them really white blonde, it's not going to happen in one sitting. So if it is something that you are wanting to achieve in one sitting, then you do know that the general well-being of the hair is just not going to be sustainable. Side 2. And also with these techniques as well, is starting through the back sections. Well, it depends again on what you want in your overall look to be, but the sort of internal hairs always take longer to lift than the perimeter of the hair, so I would definitely always start through the back sections so that you're gaining your levels of lift through there. So with the Oway bleach, going back to the Oway bleach, it's more lifting over time as opposed to just going in and removing all the natural colour molecules in one fell swoop, which is never the best practice for any hair really. It's more of a heavy paint, so you're saturating all of the hair and then using a little bit of your cotton wool to separate a little bit of a remix. So I have you painting quite close up to the root here. And again, painting up onto the other side. And then as you work your way down the hair shaft, a little feather out those higher points. Just feather out the paint. So as you work your way down, again as you can see on the underside, you don't want to completely paint it through to the opposite sides. Just get lost in the moment of painting. It is always an important factor to keep your hands nice and clean to prevent touching any of the unpainted hair. All the way up to the other side. Okay, and saturating those ends through there, and then just sectioning off. Always just feather out. See, and then separate out the cotton wool. If the consistency of your bleach is nice and thick, like clay, you really don't need to put anything in between. Okay. So this is this last section here now before we hit the crown. It's like a triangle section on the crown. I'm actually going to take that into two sections, and then again go with the flow of the hair. It is all about which way the hair flows, and you also want it to follow on from the section before. Edges out. Okay, so as you can see on this section, we've back to back these two and painted both of them. Okay guys, now this section here on the crown, which is the triangle section I was talking about before. And we can just take across from the point of that triangle. Okay, so I've split this next section again into two. From root to tip, all hair going in the same direction. Okay, and then because this is in a triangular shape, we're also going to paint to flow with that same section pattern. Okay, so you can see that shape building up there. I can see it there now myself, which is good. can see that pattern coming there. Just sit your head forward a little bit, Ina, sit up for me. And then our last section for the top. Just tilt your head slightly back. That's it. So you just want to see again on the video camera, so you can see just following the shape of the sectioning pattern. And we're not saturating the hair on the underneath at all. We are literally just painting the top section. About midway. And then saturating all of our ends. Okay. And just rest that hair down on the cotton. And wipe. Okay, so now we've just got the two side sections to do. So I am actually going to ask my lovely model to turn around so we are facing the wall slightly. I'm going to turn the whole chair around. Okay. It's when you miss the salon chairs. Okay, so what we also need to remember on the side sections is to get nice and straight. The side sections is the hairline is always first to lift where the warmth is. Okay, just wipe yourself back. So that's why I like to go from the crown to behind the ear, so you haven't got as much hair to paint, so the hair is not going to be on that hairline for very long. So there's different ways that I do tackle the sides. Sometimes I taking it straight up, or sometimes I take it with the flow of the hairline. It just again depends on what the client is really wanting to achieve. So I am going to give a little bit of a mixture here, so that some of these lights are painted with foils around the front area, just to keep it away from her face. And then also some I'm just going to freehand paint, just to keep it comfortable for her and out of her face. So I'm going to section with the hairline. Okay. And these little hairline pieces. And I'm going to weave finely. Sometimes you can have a little bit of a mixture going on with lights and freehand, and sometimes we put it all in foil and sometimes we don't put any in foil. It just really depends on, again, what you're wanting to achieve, where you want the light and shade to be. We are going to create an ultra light hairline with these front sections being in foil. It just helps to gain maximum lift. Okay, so I'm just going to take another section flowing with the hairline. Okay, again, not using so much on the brush because it's just a little fine piece of hair. so it's not going to need too much colour on the brush. Okay, so I'm actually going to do the same on the opposite sides. And then with the process time, it's something you really need to just keep a check on. How well it's lifting. What tones you're going to use over it. So what you want your desired undertones to be. With H-bleach, it can be left on for up to 50 minutes. So as you can see, some of Isla's pre-lifted ends are going to lift up to a maximum of a pale yellow undercoat, and then some of the coppery from the H nectar will lift up more to a yellowy, so she's going to get a nice, like, warmer summer blonde with some flickers of ultralight through. Okay, so we've now got our last two sections left, and again I'm going to keep them in the flow of how the hairline falls. I'll start on this side so you can see. Okay, and you can see on here, so we've had our sections there that we've put into foil, and now I'm going to section across the same with the flow. Have my hair flowing in the same direction, and then keep that nice tight grip onto the hair as we paint our final few pieces. Sorry guys, hoping you can actually see the sections that I'm taking here. Let me just see. Yeah. So again, with the flow from the parting down into our back sections, because that's the way Isla's hair flows. But when she sweeps it back, we'll connect them to the section that we have. Through the back. So I'm painting quite a lot through this mid-length. And then saturating the ends. Okay, and then just going to take a little point of that triangle in the last section. I'm just going to take that away and use that as my piece that's going to be left out. And then I'm going to take this whole section here as one deepened section. And then I am going to follow that through here, painted from the previous section. And because the section on the crown here comes right up to the root, we need to follow through so we can match that through onto the other side there. Again, following the V pattern that you've taken your sections in. So with these sections around here, they're going with the flow of the hairline, taking the point of the V section here away in the side panel like we did at the back, and then we are now mirroring how we paint the section as to how we parted the section, feathering those little edges out. And then heavy painting through those ends. And then just for the very last section, and then just rest my hair on. Now for our very last section. That's exciting. Very exciting. So we took one section coming forward after our foils. Just trying to sort of mirror up the alternate side. Keeping the hair nice and tight. And then paint our way from quite high around the root area. Okay, just feather that up. Always checking the other side. Oopsies. What? Just feather out ear ends before heavily painting on the mid-lengths through to the ends. Guys, keep putting my back to you. Okay, swipe them off from this there. And then for the final two sections, this kind of takes me back years ago when I used to do demonstrating for Andrew College, where I trained. I used to do demos and exhibitions. Something doing it on a video is quite different. So to use the hand as a balayage board is actually is quite good, but you do need to remember to keep your hands really clean for each section. And then just check out onto the opposite side.
Have you ever used your hand?
Yep, I use my hand quite often when I'm colouring in the salon. Okay. onto our final piece of the jigsaw, which is our final triangle, which we took the point of the triangle away to leave that as our unpainted piece. To now this last piece being used as blending that through with the back section where the painted areas are painting to the pattern of the section. So we've sectioned in and V, so we are going to paint to that V. Not forgetting that you're just painting onto the outer layer of the hair until you come to those final mid-lengths and ends, and then you can colour saturate to give optimum lift right through there. It's about creating the light and the shade in there. Okay, so there we have it, guys. Final piece of the jigsaw. Thank you. Now we're just going to go off and develop. Okay, so now our model is ready for development. So, okay, so we can see already painted on pieces are starting to lift, but I won't put you through the whole process of the lift. So I will bring you back at the end when we are ready for our tones to go on. I hope that was okay for you guys. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you.